Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal. In this one, we will be talking about the 10 players who will leave our club this summer transfer window. Yep, there's up to 10 and maybe even more. In fact, I'm going to start with the players that I don't think will actually leave. So after that, we will get to the 10 players. So first of all, let's start with Rob Holding. Now, Rob Holding is one of those players who everyone is expecting to leave. People are like, nah, this guy, it's time to go. Basically, like 95% of the fan base want Rob Holding to leave. But I've been looking at it, and there's a part of me that feels like, you know what? There's actually a chance that he can't stay, There's actually a chance that he will be kept here. There's a couple of reasons. One, he only gets paid 40,000 a week. So maybe Edu and Eta looking like that at that, like, you know what, he's not getting paid too much money, whether he stays or whether he goes. He can just sit on the bench, playing the Carabao Cup games. And on top of that, since Xhaka is about to leave, I think he actually becomes like our vice captain or something. So maybe they're looking at it like, leadership in the dressing room. Yes, he will not play a lot, but maybe 3-4 games in the season. But as long as he is in the team, let's keep him. Another reason could be, is there any team that really wants him? That's the other thing. I mean, yes, there's a couple of teams that would probably come in for him, but how much would they be willing to pay? 1 million, 2 million? On top of that, again, he's actually remaining with 2 years on his contract. He's here until 2025. So we can still get a bit of decent money for him. We are supposed to get a bit of decent money for him, but we are not going to get anywhere, and maybe even less than 5 million for Rob Holding, maybe even 2 or 3 million for him. He is 27 years of age. It feels like Rob Holding has been here for years, but he's only 27 years of age. So that is another interesting fact. So there's a chance he could end up remaining. So I've not actually put him on the list. So yeah, Rob Holding to stay. That is crazy. Obviously, he could end up leaving as well. This is just my list of 10 players I expect to leave, but I actually expect him to stay. I mean, there's 55% chance that he will stay and 45% chance he will go, because every other player we're hearing about, he's not on that list. Number 2 is Edin Nketiah. This one is more of fans wanting him to leave than the team. So I think Nketiah will remain for another season. He was given the number 14 shirt and extended contract last season. It's literally a year since he was given that. So the chances of him leaving are very, very minimal. How much can we even get for him? Will a team really come in with 30 million for him or something? I don't think so. So I think the fans don't really trust him. I think the manager and the board are okay with Edin Nketiah. So he might not play a lot next season. He might end up getting another striker or something with Jesus and Trossard and all those guys up front. So he might not play a lot. So that is another thing for him to consider. Does he want to play, or is he happy to remain on the bench? Because usually we're saying you're going to play in the Premier League and then you're going to play in the Europa League. This time it's the Champions League. Whoever plays in the Premier League, 80% of them will probably play in the Champions League as well. There's no resting players in the Champions League. That's a even tougher competition. So Nketiah is that I don't think will leave. Nuno Tavares is an interesting one. I've also included him in the players that I don't think will actually end up leaving. He could stay on loan. He could be loaned out. Yes, I don't think he will be sold at all. I think he could be loaned out, but I think just like Holding, 55% chance we could end up seeing him next season. Yes, we're being linked to a lot of fullbacks, but there is a chance of him staying, maybe playing in the Carabao Cup games. He might stay between now and January, and then maybe leave on another loan spell until the end of the season. But I've not included him on the list as well. So since those players have not been included in the list, and there's actually more. I've also not included someone like a Jorginho on the list, and is also being linked to the move away. So since I'm not including all those players on the list, who the hell is in the 10 players to leave list for me? So let's get started. Number 1 is Maitland-Niles. I think Maitland-Niles will definitely leave Arsenal. He's been out on loan at West Brom. He's been out on loan recently at Southampton as well. It hasn't really worked out for him, unfortunately. He was even on loan at Roma last season, but it hasn't really worked out for him. Southampton got relegated. His contract is also ending this, I think, the end of the month. I don't think we're going to be giving him a new contract, and I don't think he'll be leaving. This one, I'm like 100% sure Maitland-Niles will not be an Arsenal player next season. And I think it's time. Personally, I would have sold him. That was like 2020 when Wolves wanted him. That moment, he had a very, very good run for us in the FA Cup when we won the FA Cup in 2020. That was the time we should have sold him. Wolves wanted to give us like 25 million for him. That is the time we should have sold him. But for him to stay, I don't really think so. Up until now, I don't know whether there's a right back, whether there's a right wing back, whether there's a left wing back, whether there's a midfielder. until now. He's been around since like 2016, and we still don't know the answer to that. So Maitland-Niles is the first player I think will definitely leave. The second one is Kieran Tierney. As much as we all want him to stay, I definitely want him to stay. Considering I've just said I feel like Tavares will stay, and also we've been linked to a few fullbacks here and there, like 3 or 4 fullbacks. And that Tierney as well wants to play first team football. Next, Zinchenko is probably the one who's going to play. Once again, I would have loved to have Zinchenko and Tierney. Tierney can give you the runs on the flanks, and different from what Zinchenko is going to give you for in like a left back position, coming in as an inverted fullback. It's great to have 2 players who can do 2 different things. But since he wants game time in terms of starting games, it's being linked to good teams like Aston Villa and Newcastle. There is a huge chance he could leave. Hopefully do get decent money for him if he does leave. So Kieran Tierney is the second player on the list I think will leave. Number 3 is Granit Xhaka. We already know about this one. He's definitely going to leave. The only thing we are waiting for right now is for us to sign a player first, Rice or Caicedo, and then let him go. I would have loved to keep him as well. Brilliant season. The one thing that I've always said, I'm happy that he's ended his Arsenal career on a high, with the man of the match performance against Wolves and a good season on top of that. Goals, assists, and no red cards. Not too many disciplinary situations this season, maybe 1 or something, but nothing. So Granit Xhaka, I think he will definitely be leaving for Leverkusen. So that's the third player who is on his way out. The fourth player, Pablo Mari, 100% he will be leaving. I can't see a future for him at Arsenal. Gabriel is there and Kivior is there, 2 left-footed centre-backs. We have Saliba, we have Ben White. We are looking probably to add another defender. There's no chance of Pablo Mari staying. He has enjoyed himself in Italy with Monza. They've done very well. The second part of the season, they finished decently in the season. So Pablo Mari, I don't think he will be here, depending on how much money you're going to get for him. I think we signed him right before COVID, that 2020. I think he was one of the first players to be signed by Arteta, him and CEDRIC, but I think Pablo Mari will be on his way out, and he will no longer be an Arsenal player. I remember like 2 years ago, we were talking about who should start, Gabriel or Pablo Mari. Times have changed. Gabriel is way ahead. Some people still feel like Pablo Mari could do the job for us. I mean, if you bring back someone like a Pablo Mari, you probably don't have to buy another centre-back, but I don't think is suited in to that kind of play anymore. So Pablo Mari, 4th player to leave. I've already mentioned this guy, but 5th player, CEDRIC, signed in the same transfer window as Pablo Mari. His contract is expiring. He has been at Fulham on loan. I think he's 100% definitely leaving. All the best to him. He might end up as a manager, according to I've had Xhaka talking about CEDRIC. I've also had Mertesacker talking about CEDRIC. They've all said that CEDRIC is definitely going to be a coach. He knows how to lead the team. He's been doing a couple of things here and there with Mertesacker with the under-21 teams, like guiding them and trying to teach them a couple of things. He will be a manager. He might end up coming back to Arsenal as a manager, but as a player, not as an actual manager, but as a coach, helping out whoever is there. Probably it's going to be Arteta, so he could bring him back. Who knows? But as a player, I don't think it's going to happen. Number 6 is Okonkwo, the goalkeeper. I think he won't be here. There's a huge chance we are going to sell him. I think KJ Hine will be here, Turner will be here, Ramsey will be here, and Okonkwo, he could be loaned out again, but there's also a chance of him being sold. So I don't think we will be seeing him next season. There's also a chance of KJ Hine going instead and Okonkwo coming back, but I feel because he's gotten 1 year of experience being out on loan, they could decide to bring Okonkwo back and take KJ Hine on loan. But I think Okonkwo, if he has done well there, he could end up being sold. So Okonkwo is the 6th player. Number 7 is El Neni. Of course, we gave him a new contract not that long ago. He was injured for majority of the end of last season. We were trying to be good, obviously keeping him in the team. Just don't want to send him away, and he's been a good servant for the team since like 2016. But can you really see him playing any games next season? I really, really doubt. I could see him going back to like a Basel or something in Switzerland, but as an Arsenal player, I can't see it. I will thank him for everything for sure. He's a very, very nice guy. But I think he will be leaving this transfer window. We might hear about this maybe at the end of August or something. Maybe not now. This could carry on. He might even take part in our preseason, but leave at the end of that. Number 8 is Albert Sambi Lokonga. I've also put him on the list by the way, this is not the list of what the players I want to go anything. I mean, of course, I do and want like 80% of them to leave either way. But these are the players I feel like will be sold. Lokonga. He's been out on loan at Crystal Palace. The way we are trying to look for midfielders, we've been linked to Lavia, we've been linked to Rice, to Caicedo. Partey could stay, Jorginho could stay. Unless we get rid of Partey, get rid of Jorginho and not sign Caicedo, then you could see Lokonga coming back. But the kind of formation we play with 4-3-3, with the lone holding midfielder, Lokonga cannot play there for you unless he comes back and plays the Xhaka role as a backup for whoever plays there. So that could be the only situation I see him coming back, but there's a huge chance of him leaving. We could end up selling him. We could end up loaning him out again, but they could maybe say, no, let's cut our losses quick and get rid of him right now. The thing I remember saying about Havertz and Lokonga back in 2021 when you signed them, I said the good thing with signing these young players is that if they don't work out at Arsenal, they're still young and you can still sell them. Well, it's actually turning out to be that way. I was hoping they would turn out to be great players, but it doesn't turn out that way, so we could end up selling him as well. Number 9 is, unfortunately, Balogun. Now, Balogun wants to play regular first-team football. He is not going to get that at Arsenal. There's no way Jesus or Martinelli or Saka will be dropped for Balogun. And especially the striker situation, Jesus will not be dropped for Balogun. That is not going to happen. In the Champions League, he'll probably not play as well. So he's basically going to wait for Carabao Cup and FA Cup. Carabao Cup, you can start the game and then you end up being eliminated in the first round and boom, you have no other game time, just like Tana last season. So Balogun, I can't see him being here. There's a huge chance we can loan him out, but there's also a slight chance. I'd say loaning him out 65%, him being sold maybe 30%, and him staying in the team probably 5%. Like, I'd be very surprised if he stays. I mean, I'm sure like there's a part of it that wants to keep him in the team as a bench option. But since I've said I think Nketiah will stay and Balogun wants first-team football, there's a huge chance he will leave. Hopefully we don't. If we sell him, hopefully we get good money for him. But personally, I would try and keep him or maybe loan him out to another Premier League team and see how it does. And if he does well again, then maybe you can think about bringing him back or selling him and getting good money for him. So Balogun is the 9th player I expect to not be here next season. And then finally, Nicolas Pepe. That this one will definitely be leaving Arsenal. Is not in Arteta's plans. Our record signing back in 2019, it just hasn't worked out. Obviously, the manager who signed him ended up leaving just a couple of months later, and it hasn't really worked out with him and Arteta since then. Arteta wants people who can press from the front, and Pep is not really going to do that for you. He's not going to run back and forth like Saka, and Martinelli is not really going to do that for you. And a disappointing spell at Nice on loan. How much can we get for him? I'm afraid you're only going to get something like 15 to 20 million for him. It's going to be a huge loss of maybe more than 50 million. If I can find a way to get more than that, that would be great. But there's also been talks that we could actually cancel his contract. That would be even more devastating. We won't get a cent back from the 72 million, which would be disastrous. So those are the 10 players expect to leave Arsenal. We've also talked about Jorginho. We've also talked about Tavares and Nketiah, and also Rob Holding, and Marquinhos the other one. I think Marquinhos will be loaned out again. So very, very interesting to see who will leave, who will stay. Let me know from that list which players you want to leave. Do you want all of them to stay? And if from the 10 players, if you're to keep like 3 players, who would you choose to keep? If you're to keep 3 players from those 10, who would you choose to keep for next season, knowing that they're going to help us for sure next season? Thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you on the next one.